Hello everyone, my guest today is Charlie Lee. He's the creator of Litecoin, the most popular alternative currency to Bitcoin. He was previously director of engineering at Coinbase, the most popular cryptocurrency wallet and exchange. Before joining Coinbase, he spent 6 years at Google working on YouTube Mobile, Chrome OS, and the Google Play Games platform. Charlie earned a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT. Charlie, are you ready to take us to the top?
Sure, definitely.
All right, very good. So I was going to ask you, Coinbase is very particular about the currencies it supports, and Litecoin is one of them. I was going to say, how did you get in? But I think I know now.
Well, I think Litecoin, the demand has always been there for people that want to buy Litecoin easily with fiat currencies. So, and after Coinbase added it, it was pretty clear that that was the right decision, as Coinbase is now making a lot of money from it, having like large trade volumes. So, and people really want to get their hands on Litecoin and be able to send it to others and use it as a wallet.
So what is Litecoin at now? It's the end of the year here in 2017. What are some of the key indicators you look at to measure the health of the coin?
Well, a lot of people measure the health with the price of Litecoin. So right now it's a little bit over $60. $3 billion market cap. But to me, like, the price doesn't matter because it's kind of just all speculation right now. What matters is that Litecoin is on pretty much all the exchanges, all the Bitcoin exchange, cryptocurrency exchanges, and it's being used as a store of value and as payments. So what's important to me is just more people using it as a currency.
Okay. And so how many total people are using it now today?
It's pretty much impossible to figure that out.
So how do you know if it's working or not?
Just kind of checking the pulse of people talking about it, seeing how many stores are accepting it.
How many stores are accepting it today?
Hard to tell. Like, I would say thousands.
I was going to say, come on, Charlie, you say that's what you track, and then you say hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as much as Bitcoin, but it's getting there, and I'm happy to kind of, this is like a long-term play, right? It's not like you either make it or you die within a year. So as long as we're around, we're being accepted in more and more places, I think we're on the right track.
For folks that are brand new to cryptocurrencies, Charlie, can you explain in just a clear and really simplified way the difference between Litecoin and Bitcoin?
Yeah, so the major difference is Litecoin is faster than Bitcoin in terms of transaction speed or block speed, and there's more amount of Litecoin out there. There's 4 times as many Litecoin units than Bitcoin.
Why is that important?
Just having more, it's kind of the analogy that I've been using for years is Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold. So if Bitcoin is considered digital gold, then Litecoin is, you can think of it as digital silver, where it's cheaper, transaction fees are lower. You can use it to buy coffee or meals without having to pay a huge transaction fee. And you would use Bitcoin more as a store of value and for larger purchases. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, like today, Bitcoin transaction fees have gone up considerably. It's sometimes $1 to even $10 to send a Bitcoin transaction. And it's definitely worth it for people. I mean, people are using it. People are paying that transaction fee to send Bitcoin transactions because Bitcoin is in the end still the most decentralized and secure and censorship-resistant cryptocurrency out there. So if you're paying like millions of dollars to buy a house, you definitely want to use Bitcoin because you get the most security. But if you're just buying like coffee or buying a meal, you're happy using Litecoin, even though it's less secure. It's still like extremely secure in terms of cryptocurrency, and it's also decentralized, and it's fast. So that's kind of like my vision of seeing Litecoin and Bitcoin working together to fulfill the needs of cryptocurrency transactions.
So is it kind of like in my daily life, if I go to CVS when I'm traveling to get a toothbrush, or I'm eating out at a Subway restaurant one night, I might use, again, Litecoin. But when it comes time to like buy a house or buy another car, I usually go to the bank and do a wire transfer on big stuff like that. That's more like a Bitcoin use case. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Another analogy that people can think of is Bitcoin would be your savings account and Litecoin would be your checking account.
Okay.
So you would keep, for long-term store of value, Bitcoin is definitely, well, arguably better, and Litecoin is better for day-to-day use.
Take me back. Well, first off, what year did you launch Litecoin in?
2011.
Okay. And did you do that while you were at Coinbase or after you had left?
No, this is before I even joined Coinbase. This was when I was at Google.
Okay.
So I joined Coinbase in 2013.
So when you were at Google, you were working on, I believe, YouTube and YouTube Mobile specifically. What did you read or what influenced you to go, wow, there's going to be a market here. I better go invent the silver version of cryptocurrency?
I mean, even before joining Google, I've done like commodities trading. I understand like the concept of gold and why that's valuable and how that's like good money versus fiat currency today. So I've always known that, and when I saw Bitcoin, I realized it's like a better version of gold. The only difference is there's no physical form of it, and because of that, people complain that there's no intrinsic value. But from what I can tell, it's actually just a better version of gold. It's gold where you can send instantaneously from one place to like the other side of the world for low fees, right? I mean, even today, $10, that's like extremely low compared to like, if you want to send like an ounce of gold from here to China, that's going to cost you a lot more than $10. So I see just basically Bitcoin being like a super competitive version of gold, and Litecoin I want to position as like as silver.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, though, what influenced you early on when you were still at YouTube to say, yeah, it's time to do this? You saw at that time kind of transaction fees going up, and that's really what drove you?
What drove me, I actually created Litecoin just for fun. Kind of just wanted to play around with it. But I've kind of suspected all along that Bitcoin, there won't be just one cryptocurrency. That Bitcoin, it's a kind of inevitable that the fees will go up, because in order to stay decentralized, Bitcoin has to kind of err on the side of being decentralized, having smaller blocks and having higher fees, than to go the other route, which is to have large blocks but having it more centralized. So if Bitcoin wants, it's kind of like you have to choose. As the block rewards go down, you can't have the cake and eat it too. Initially, people were spoiled, where fees were low, transactions were fast, blocks were empty, and Bitcoin kind of satisfied both needs. And that's because of the block rewards. The block rewards were something that the miners were getting for free, kind of, and that will reduce over time. Initially, it was 50 Bitcoins per block, and now it's only 12.5 Bitcoins per block.
Is that because there's a set amount of Bitcoin available, and that's why as demand goes up, the price will go up? There's a set supply?
Yeah, there's a set supply, and it's kind of, my analogy for that, it's kind of like stock options. Initially, the company can give out a lot of stock options to their early employees, but as time goes on and the company gets bigger, the company is worth more, but they're giving out less and less stock options.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And what is so when did you know it was time to quit Google and go all in on Litecoin?
I did that I didn't go all in on Litecoin in 2013. I actually went all in on like cryptocurrency. Right? I figured out that I want to spend my day job working on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically at that time. This is because even when I was at Google, I was spending a lot of my time like kind of in this space, thinking about Bitcoin, thinking about Litecoin. So I figured I should just do it full time. And Coinbase was one of the few companies that I thought had a lot of potential, because they were trying to make Bitcoin easy for the average person to use. And Bitcoin, even today, it's really complicated stuff. It's hard for most people to understand how it works, why it works, what's all the deal with all these recent forks and stuff. So making Bitcoin easy to acquire and spend and use was something that was needed and still needed. And that's why I joined Coinbase.
Did you take a pay cut when you did that?
I did. Yeah, I mean, at Google, the pay was good, the benefits were good.
What were you? Do you mind me asking, Charlie? What were you making at Google? I want to understand what kind of pay cut you took.
I was making $200,000 a year.
Okay, and how big was your cut? Was it half that?
It was. I'm trying to remember. It was It was half that until I negotiated for more.
Good. Look, that's a good measurement of like, okay, how serious was Charlie about Litecoin? Now you guys know, right? He took about a 100 grand a year pay cut before he said, okay, I'm worth a lot. I'm going to negotiate more. And then you leave. So you do work at Coinbase. When did you know it was the right time to leave Coinbase?
Well, before that, not only did I take a pay cut, I also, instead of like a 5-minute commute, it became a 60 minutes commute. Woo! I was driving from Mountain View to the city to San Francisco.
That's almost worse than the pay cut.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty much worse than a pay cut. I was spending like 2-3 hours like commuting to work. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens? How many years are you with Coinbase?
I was at Coinbase for almost 4 years. I left Coinbase just middle of this year.
Just recently, here in 2017. Yeah, why?
I figured it was time for me to get back into focusing on Litecoin, which is the coin I created. And it was, I thought it was a good time for me to really spend time on Litecoin.
Now, Charlie, you have to forgive me for this question, or maybe not really. Maybe you'll never forgive me, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You've obviously done well, right? I mean, I see like a $10,000 restoration hardware chandelier hanging behind you. I just bought the same one. I love it so much. But like, you're doing well, right? How do you? Most people I talk to who don't know crypto, they think, well, if I do crypto, I'm just making the early people billionaires and really rich, and I don't want to help them get rich, like, so I'm not going to do it. How do you fight that stigma? Like, what would you tell people who would tell you that?
Well, I mean, anyone can invest in crypto, right? So people who invest in crypto were spending their own money on something that was risky. I mean, buying Bitcoin and Litecoin was really risky. It could easily go to zero. Even today, I tell people, like, don't spend money you're not willing to lose. Like, Bitcoin and Litecoin could crash 90%.
So is that how do you make money on Litecoin? Is it only if the value goes up, or do you have other deals with Coinbase where you take a cut of transaction fees and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, for me, it's only if the value goes up. Like, I have an investment in Bitcoin and Litecoin, and if the value goes up, I make money. And that's true for most people. Yep. Yeah, and
you have the largest holding, right? I imagine since you created the thing, you probably got.
No, definitely not. I definitely don't have the largest holding. I know quite a few people who have more Litecoin than me.
And why is that?
Well, I created Litecoin, but I didn't like pre-mine coins. I didn't create coins for myself, right? I had to mine the Litecoins or buy the Litecoins off exchange just like anyone else. And I obviously believe in it more than a lot of other people because I created it. So I was there in the beginning, right in the beginning, obviously. So I had a chance to buy a lot of Litecoins at a lower price.
And what is that, Charlie? Is that like a startup? Like when you say you created Litecoin, you know, a lot of founders of SaaS startups, when they create their company, they create a par value that's very, very, very small, 0.0001 cents. They create 2 million shares. You know, they give their founder 1 million shares and they keep 1 million for a 50-50 split, but they pay very little for it. Is it the same kind of an analogy?
No, not. It's quite different actually, because Litecoin and Bitcoin, the coins were created by mining. So when I launched it, there were 0 Litecoins out there. You had to actually spend computational resources to mine the coin. So that costs money, right? So whoever's mining it is paying electricity costs. Okay. Even today, you're paying electricity costs to mine Bitcoin and Litecoin. So they're paying electricity costs to mine Litecoin, and then there's a market that forms to decide how much a Litecoin is worth. So like I don't control any of that, right? So yeah. I can, if I think that Litecoin is undervalued, I would buy some, right? If I think it's overvalued, I might sell some, just like any other trader or investor.
Now you create the mathematical equation though that determines how much is available, correct?
Yeah, it actually follows a schedule that is pretty much identical to Bitcoin, because I didn't want to change what I know is not broken. Like I'm not just going to tweak some numbers just because I feel like it. So I kept it very similar to Bitcoin, where every 4 years the reward halves. So it has enough like runway to succeed, right? If you make it half too soon, then the coin before it succeeds, the rewards will run out, right? You're overpaying the earlier miners then.
So in terms of keeping the code up to date and keep the community strong. Like, is there a company around this, and have you raised capital, like traditional capital, for the company? How are you funding all this?
Yeah, so just this year we created a Litecoin Foundation, a nonprofit organization that takes donation, and we sell merchandises to try to raise funds, and all we do is we use that fund to pay for developers or to pay for members of to help Litecoin, to help promote Litecoin, to help develop Litecoin.
What's your team size today?
Our team size is 5 core members, at various degrees of depending on how much they work. A lot of our team members are, actually most of them are volunteers, right? We don't pay them a lot. We don't pay them anything, and they work on it because of their passion.
The developers you have, what are they working on developing? Like, there's not a website to maintain or anything like that. Are they like keeping hackers out, or what are they doing?
Well, there's a few things we develop. So we develop like the mobile wallet. We have a iOS, Android wallet, Loaf wallet that we're developing. We also keep developing on the core protocol. So because we keep Litecoin code base very close to Bitcoin, so that we can basically take all the improvements of Bitcoin and add it to Litecoin without too much trouble. So we keep that very close. We keep it up to date. So when code gets checked into Bitcoin, we merge into Litecoin, and we also try to get stuff into Litecoin even before it's live on Bitcoin. For example, this year we activated SegWit, which is a huge improvement to the protocol on Litecoin before it activated on Bitcoin. Actually, our work, I believe, helped it get activated on Bitcoin to show that SegWit is actually a good upgrade and has none of the fear that people associate with it.
Last question, Charlie, before we wrap up with the famous 5. Back in late August, Litecoin spiked up to about 81 bucks, right? It's about 60-ish now. Why did it spike in August? What's your best guess?
The thing with cryptocurrency is it's all speculation, right? Back in August, there were probably people afraid of the Bitcoin hard fork. Litecoin was a good hedge against that. So people started buying up Litecoin, and it kind of snowballed and kind of shot up. And then it found its kind of the right level right now. And who knows what's going to happen? Like this has happened to Bitcoin and Litecoin all the time, where it can shoot up all of a sudden and it can. Yeah.
By the way, it was $3 in January this year. So good, good momentum, Charlie. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. These are quick answers. Number 1, what's your favorite cryptocurrency book?
Cryptocurrency book, I would say Mastering Bitcoin by Antonopoulos.
Mastering Bitcoin. Number 2, is there a CEO or a leader you're following or studying?
No.
Okay, number 3, what is your favorite online tool?
What kind of tool?
Any tool you use to run and grow the company or the foundation?
Slack.
Okay.
Slack is a great chat program to keep the community together.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
So on weekdays, I get 4 hours, 4.5. On weekends, maybe 8.
Okay. And what's your situation, Charlie? Married, single? Do you have kids?
I'm married.
Any kiddos?
Yeah.
Are they out of the house yet, or are they young?
They're young.
They're young. Okay, so that might be contributing to very little sleep, huh?
Yeah.
How many young ones do you have?
2.
2. Okay. And last question here. How old are you today, Charlie?
I'm 40.
All right. Take us back 20 years. What's something you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I mean, other than investing in Bitcoin and Litecoin. Let's see. So what I wish I knew, I would say work on things you enjoy as opposed to things that make you money, and money will come.
There you guys have it from Charlie. Work on things you enjoy instead of things that make you money, and the money will come. He was at Google many years ago when he started tinkering with Litecoin. He then said, I want to do this full-time, joined Coinbase closer to 2013, took a big pay cut to do it, and tripled or quadrupled his commute time, which is a bigger deal. Now, obviously, Litecoin is growing from $3 back in earlier this year to about 60, 65 bucks today. It's really the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Charlie, thank you so much for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan.